Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of the Dork Squad. Today my friends and I are going to be talking about our experiences watching Sonic the Hedgehog 2 in 4D. So what does 4D mean? It means that Knuckles literally punched us in the face and like
Four,
Robotnik blew in our faces and it was
4D
You're not wrong.
Yeah.
4D literally means your chair assaults you as you watch the movie, but it's fun.
Yeah.
4D also means watch what you get to eat
Yeah.
yeah,
because it'll
seriously.
be flying.
I I'm of two minds about the 4D. I can see how it can be entertaining, but it definitely for me it got distracting at points.
The best part was that we didn't know it when we went in there.
Yeah.
We
That was
went
a
in not
really good
expecting-
surprise.
I
Like
think
literally, I just saw there was like an early screening. It said 40x. I didn't know what that meant because there's also RPX. I thought, oh, that's just probably like some variation of IMAX or something. I didn't realize what 4DX specifically meant.
When really the fourth dimension is time travel, so it's a bit misleading. So
Well, it time traveled all of us several decades later as all our joints ached as if we were elderly.
and you guys, I think you guys had a bit of a tutorial right before right before our screen because I went to the bathroom and I think they had like a little thing like during that time when I was out.
I think
Yeah.
That's what you get for going to the bathroom,
that's the
John.
lesson is never go to the bathroom. But no, I mean it was fun. I mean it reminded me of
Yeah.
honestly like going to Disney World in the early to mid '90s when they would have the ride you would sit in and watch the show and it would like spray stuff at you. Like I don't know, it was nostalgic for me.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Already nostalgic experience.
It'd be cool to see other movies in it, depending on the movie. Like, I just thought about what movies would be cool to see in it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
All right, so let's talk about the movie Sonic 2. I was really impressed with it, and
Oh, yeah.
the first movie was great, and it was going to be a tough act to follow. I felt, and it's I think anytime you have a sequel coming out, it's always it's hard to predict how it's going to turn out. But this is one of those rare movie sequels that I think really outdid the original. I think that the first one masterfully kind of set this up, which was really, really cool. So the connections to the first one, I felt like there was a lot of payoff. And instead of, Sonic's universe is, it's not the real universe. It's not, we're not talking about like, Pokemon Detective Pikachu where you just kind of add these creatures into something that already exists. It's not really an easy, at least for me, I would think it's not an easy thing to adapt, but I felt like they did a slow burn on it. Like they kind of slowly introduce Sonic and Robotnik in the first one, and then now they're bringing in more elements from the games, and I think it really paid off.
They definitely couldn't have done this one without, the legwork of the first one. I also think that Paramount and the executives probably learned their lesson when that first trailer came out in the first one, and basically the internet cyberbullied them into like changing Sonic's design to be more game accurate. No, I'm serious. I think that
Yes.
after that, Paramount said, our takeaway is give the fans what they want and make it more game accurate. And this one just doubled down on that. And
Exactly.
I have to believe that part of that was that response to that original movie's trailer.
Agreed. And personally, a very special thank you to Tyson Hess, who is a graphic novel illustrator and is the man responsible for redesigning Sonic's first iteration from the ground up. And seriously, dude, thank you so much. I mean, the character designs in this were incredible. I mean, just I mean, I still love Sonic's like newer design, and he did a fantastic job with Tails and Knuckles too. It was just really cool just to see them like just coming from the video games that we all know and love from the Genesis days, and just seeing them on the big screen, just being larger than life. It was incredible.
And sort of going off of that, like I know that you, Patrick, and Chris are probably the biggest Sonic fans out of the four of us.
Oh yeah.
Uh,
They are.
Yeah, no, the thing about me is that I like all of our the kids in my neighborhood growing up. We all had Nintendo consoles, and the only Sonic games I've really played were a bit of Colors on the DS and a bit of Mania on the Switch. And so I was going into this as very much an extremely casual fan. And I thought the first movie was okay, but this one was just so much better than the first.
It relished in its own mythology. It wasn't afraid of its mythology. I think a lot of movies, when they're adapting a source material that's not exactly mainstream or that's kind of out there, they feel like when they do a movie, they have to make it more mainstream. And that's why the first movie felt more straightforward. And this one said, let's commit fully to this world. Let's get Tails. Let's get Knuckles. Let's go all out. Let's get Idris Elba, which I was not sold on when I heard it. I'm like, really? You're going to do it it's going to be like a parody? It worked because he's basically, he reminded me a lot of Drax.
Yes.
Yeah, he was like Drax,
kind of very, very serious, not big sense of humor, but in the end, very lovable.
Yeah. And they also, and this was actually a really awesome surprise. Tails' current voice actor from the games, Colleen. And I do apologize if I mess her last name up. I think it's Shanasi or Shanashi.
O'Shaughnessy.
O'Shaughnessy. Thank you, Colleen O'Shaughnessy. Absolutely like delivered his Tails. Like it was just that it was exactly like from the games, just that fun, young, energetic, like, you know, like Sonic, you're my hero. I really look up to you, and you know, like I want to help you to, like, you know, stop Dr. Robotnik. And Sonic's like, yeah, I think I could use all the help I can get. So come along, and we just
It was very character accurate that Tails is basically a simp for Sonic.
Well, on the flip side, Agent Stone is a simp for Robotnik, which is great.
Very much so.
He's to be honest, like he's a more upbeat version of Snively from from the '93 animated
Snively.
show. Yeah, he's just more like, you know, happy and upbeat, like, you know, to be with Dr. Robotnik versus Snively's like, yeah, it's like, yes, Doctor, yeah.
What's really great is, you know, obviously there's all these homages to the games. I loved that Stone's coffee shop was called Mean Bean, like the Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean machine. It was a puzzle game on the Genesis that, again, maybe not many, I think Sonic fans know, but it's an obscure title that clearly, like, the fans appreciate it. I appreciate it. Like, oh, that's so cool that they call it that.
There were a lot of those that just, you know, kind of like John. I played some of the games, obviously not as big a Sonic game fan as you two guys. There were so many moments they were freaking out, like, oh my god, look at that. And I'm like, yeah, that's cool. I think that's I don't get the reference, but I respect that they did it.
Right. Oh, trust me, I was the one, like, pointing out to, like, you know, Chris in the theater, like, is it hey, you see that part? Is it right? He's like, oh yeah. So, like, I'm just gushing at all the little details, and is it on, like, every little piece, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's from Labyrinth Zone, or oh wow, like, it's the altar from Angel Island from Sonic, from the original Sonic Adventure, like the way they designed it. I'm like, wow, that is so cool.
And when Sonic's about to drown underwater, I say to Patrick, boy, I hope he finds a bubble, and then they have him get a bubble.
The bubble. I remember the bubbles.
I love that,
and I'm like, yes.
And as someone who I definitely did not get all the references that you guys did. I can safely say that they were also not intrusive. So if you are not a huge Sonic fan, you can safely go in and not be able to get all the references. So
it's a testament to the movie that it's hard to kind of placate both of those audiences. You know, they clearly did it for the fans, but they didn't do it in such a way as to alienate those people who weren't as familiar. And that is a very difficult balance to strike.
Well, and what's great is that the movie has its own mythology, like, you know, Agent Stone and the James Marsden character and his wife and being like the parents of Sonic, like that's not really in the games at all. Even some of the newer games, but they do it so well. Like they really find a way to make it its own thing while still paying homage to the games and making it about the games, but still like, hey, at the end of the day, it is a movie that had a lot of heart. You know, it was about
absolutely.
Raising a kid. You know, which the games don't really get into at all, but it's. I don't know how they did it, but they really just did an awesome job making it work.
It's their way of grounding it in the real world.
Yeah.
Did Sonic's parents ever appear in the games?
No, the comics they get into that.
Okay.
It's it's like the multiverse. Like every iteration of Sonic is a little bit different.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's true.
So, but there's the thing that they really nailed. I think Davey said this earlier. They understood the characters. If you've played the games, the movie was basically Sonic 2, 3, and Sonic and Knuckles kind of the plot together. So the whole plot with Knuckles being tricked by Robotnik into thinking Sonic's the bad guy and trying to protect the Chaos Emeralds. That was Sonic 3 and Knuckles. That was the main plot of that.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of Sonic 2 stuff in there too. But even when I heard like Idris Elba was going to be in it, it made sense for Knuckles just based on his characterization from the games and from the comics. Like he is a character who takes himself really too seriously, and they kind of
he's got that intensity to him.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Sonic wants to have a good time. Knuckles is he doesn't know how to take a joke,
and especially
he's married to the job. He's married to the job, basically.
And the interactions, they nailed the dynamic. So, like, the Sonic and Tails dynamic, where Tails is just looking up to Sonic and loves Sonic, that nails it. Like every iteration of Sonic, there's some form of that. Like it's spot on.
Absolutely.
The fights between Sonic and Knuckles, where Sonic's making jokes and Knuckles is trying to get him to shut up. I mean, it was so weird for me because I'm watching this movie and I'm like, man, I read this in the comics like 25 years ago. It was so cool to see something that I loved reading growing up, like being on the big screen and adapted. And yeah, obviously they made changes, but they were really smart adaptations. I thought they really did a great job of condensing all of those sources and taking the best out of all those different games and from the comics. And especially Sonic and Robotnik, when Sonic says, I live rent free in this guy's head. That is so true. I mean, that's Sonic and Robotnik. I mean, that is their dynamic.
Robotnik is known for his obsessions. While we're talking about him, I feel like in a weird way, Robotnik is the character that is kind of the most different first movie to second movie. Where in the first movie, he's more of a mainstream type villain character. And this one, he feels like video game Robotnik. And I don't just mean in his physical appearance.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, agreed.
I think part of that could be the fact that he was, in between movies, he was trapped for, I presume to be a not insignificant length of time in the mushroom world. Which, by the way, like, I just... that just amused me to no end. Like the fact that there was a mushroom world.
Well,
that's when
Pat.
Sonic 3. Thank you. Well, first and foremost, Chris, like what you said earlier, I couldn't have said it better myself. I definitely felt that they picked the very best elements of each of the games and told the story with it. Actually very much akin to Superman the Animated Series, very similar to that, where they took the very best elements and told a main cohesive story, which is awesome. As to answer your question, John, the Mushroom World is a direct reference of Mushroom Hill from Sonic 3 and Knuckles.
Okay.
Which is really cool. Or just Sonic and Knuckles for the standalone.
So when it appeared in Sonic 3, was it riffing on Super Mario back then as their big rival?
Actually, yeah.
It could have been.
Yeah, I think that might have been whether direct or indirect. It was kind of like a winking nod, much like the way Robotnik's original design was actually kind of that of a cross between Humpty Dumpty and is it Mario, which
Mhm.
actually I touch on in a top 6 article for Dork Daily. So definitely check that out,
Check it
everyone.
out. We'll have it linked below. So check it
Really
out.
cool article. There are more
Thank you.
designs to Robotnik than you ever thought existed.
Absolutely.
I thought Robotnik's, at least his overall appearance, was at least partially inspired by Teddy Roosevelt, wasn't it?
A little bit.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, that is true. In the article I
Partially,
wrote,
yeah.
yeah, in the article I wrote, they did. I do mention the fact that Teddy Roosevelt was a bit of an inspiration, especially with the big mustache and the smile. Like the
Hmm.
big toothy smile is like and the goofy grin is like very much that. Although weirdly enough, Teddy Roosevelt is the exact opposite of Robotnik's personality.
Oh God, yeah.
He was very much a very strong environmentalist and
Hmm.
helping to preserve America's parks. So yeah, just a little not as a knowledge and trivia for all you.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead, John.
As a complete side note, I would like to note that I prepared to watch the new Sonic movie by watching the original Sonic movie and then playing Super Mario World.
That works.
Yeah.
So can we talk about Jim Carrey? Who
Yes.
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 is just, let's be honest, Jim Carrey, he's not where he was in the 90s, but this felt like a 90s Jim Carrey performance.
Yes.
Well,
Where
so
he
did the-
taps into that.
Oh yeah.
I felt, especially in certain parts, certain moments, I felt like I was watching the Riddler, and that wasn't
Yeah.
a bad thing.
There's a few moments, and again, we're keeping this review spoiler free, but there's a few moments where it does. And I feel like they must have knowingly paid homage to Batman Forever a little bit in this. But I mean, no, I mean, Jim Carrey was, yeah, I mean, he was a 90s icon. I mean, certainly like his most iconic movies are from that era. But I think now, like, he has the choice to just do what he wants to do. You know, he says after this that he might be retiring from acting. I think it's awesome that he is. I don't want to say it's awesome he's taking less roles, but he's clearly being more
Selective.
selective. Thank
Yeah.
you, selective in what
And
he
it
chooses
speaks
to do.
volumes that with him being that selective, Sonic is something he chose.
Yeah.
Because it was something he knew. You can tell he's having the most fun out of anyone there.
Yeah.
Like, he is just...
And to sort of go back to something I said during the review with Morbius that I did over on Dave's channel. I think Jim Carrey does some of his absolute best work when he's just living large, hamming it up, chewing the scenery, and he's clearly doing that and channeling that manic energy for Robotnik, which I think you need for a character that nutty.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, just he took everything from the first movie and then just cranked it to 11. Just I just love that energy and the enthusiasm that he had. I mean, he's like getting up there in age and he doesn't miss a beat. Like he is just having the time of his life.
no.
Like just being the villain and basically just dissing on every single person who's like standing in his way. Like that he's the top banana. Like is it like referenced in the first movie? But now it's just you all are beneath me. I'm the mad genius here. I'm gonna get what I want. And if anyone's standing my way, I'm just going to swat you around. Or I'll use more of my egg drones as out there. Or I'm going to be really hamming it up like later, hater.
I thought it was really, with the first one, I love Jim Carrey in the first one. I almost felt like he underplayed it a little bit. Like I kind of was, as good as it was, like I felt like he had not.
Because
he wasn't
it was
as
still mainstream.
well. It was mainstream, but I think it's brilliant how the journey. I think is
Right.
brilliant. I think it's great that it's a little lower key in the first one,
Right.
and then we see like what the experiences of the first movie have driven him to madness, where he's just completely obsessed. I think that is. I think the movies work really well together. I think they do.
Yes,
They'd make a great double feature
absolutely.
as kind of one continuous story.
Yeah, and I also just love the fact that they didn't like do a whole big recap. They just like went straight in with the story, which I did really appreciate even though I know some people might be lost that they hadn't seen the first one, but at the same time, though,
They
they
assumed
didn't.
you watched
Yeah,
it.
right,
If
exactly, which I really appreciate. It's and the whole like just from the very beginning, like we're on the mushroom planet, we're just seeing him like just trying to survive, and you can tell like how crazy he's gotten. Like is it like the amount of time in the mushroom world probably was very different from what was going on in Earth. I mean, he could have been there for like several years. I mean, we don't
I
really
think
know
he
that
said it was
kind of a.
like 200 and something days. So it was less than a year, but still a long time.
which that's enough
Oh,
time to
okay.
go insane.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Spe-
But
Thank you for pointing that
to
out.
your point, Patrick. Yeah, I think it's good that not every movie sequel has to do what the Rocky movies do and literally include the last 5 minutes of the previous movie as the first 5 minutes
Yeah.
of the next one.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, I mean, we don't want to spoil anything, but
Just go see it.
Yes.
That
I will say there were some things I didn't like about this movie, and there's one scene that there's one thing I mentioned to you guys as we were coming out of the theater that I was not a particularly big fan of, just because after that point those particular characters just drop out of the movie. But other than that, I really like this one.
I think that's probably the result of, these movies go through a lot of different drafts,
Yeah.
with a lot of different,
Mm-hmm.
stages of development and production. And I think that sometimes you get that where there's like a subplot that was meant to have more, but for whatever reason, by the time it gets to the final one, part of it's gone.
Yeah.
It's the nature of something so collaborative as
Yeah.
filmmaking.
Yeah, I just had
Is
to
it-
get that out there because it did bug me.
Okay. Also, I'm gonna say this too, like for the writers and the filmmakers as well in general for Sonic the Hedgehog 2. The movie, weirdly enough, had a very 90s feel, like in terms of its story, plot, and pacing, which I really appreciated. While at the same time, like all the modern technological advancements to really be able to like showcase like the full breadth of like what Jim Carrey's Robotnik was doing in terms of like all the egg drones and the Eggomatic craft that he was rocking. I mean, that was so cool. Like to see that from the games, like finally translated on screen, was so
the
awesome,
the
and I
only-
love that.
the only thing that would have made, which was awesome, I loved it. The only thing that would have made it better is if he dropped like a big disco ball from under it and started like swinging it at Sonic. That would have been like, perfection. But maybe
Oh,
the
that
next
would
one.
have been-
We'll see.
Maybe.
I hope so.
Same
Fingers
thing
crossed.
with all the references. I was waiting for them to play Live and Learn from Sonic Adventure 2, which is my favorite Sonic game.
Yeah.
And they didn't, but maybe next one, maybe Jim Carrey retires from everything else, but still does another Sonic movie because he had so much fun on this one.
Yeah, I know like there's like a Sonic the Hedgehog series that's currently being developed right now, and I really hope that they do something really cool and unique with it. Like, I mean, just for anyone like watching this right now, a Knack the Weasel style Boba Fett series in which he's like, yeah, I mean seriously, it
That's
would
a
be
great idea.
perfect.
I love that.
Yeah, thank you, because you know what, like we've already established that like these characters like Tails and Knuckles come from different worlds. Why not like have like Knack the Weasel as an intergalactic bounty hunter, and now he's hunting down Sonic the Hedgehog? Maybe a certain twirly mustached man saying, could you like try to bag this guy for me? And it's like, yeah, sure, I'll nab him for you.
You know what I think now? I know I don't know if this is spoilers for like the comics, but I'm okay with spoiling that because that's been out for a while. But I believe in the comics, so in the original Sonic lore, it took place on a planet called Morbius. Mobius. Mobius.
Yes.
I'm thinking of
No,
I don't think Mobius wants to be associated with that dumpster fire of a movie.
yeah.
no
Anyway.
relation to Owen Wilson from Loki.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
So.
Wow.
That was the funny part.
Anyway, so I don't know if this was in the games or in the comics, but you find out later that Mobius, so in Mobius, you have Robotnik has taken over the planet basically, with his machines, and there's some humans, but there's all it's mainly what's the word? Anamorphic.
Uh, Anthropomorphic.
Yes, thank you.
Anthropomorphic. Yes.
Yeah.
Anthropomorphic.
Anthropomorphic.
Anthro up and at them.
Is it ant? Is it
Anthropomorphic.
Thank you.
Anthropomorphic.
Pomorphic.
Anthropomorphic. Anyway,
Personification.
they got these animals walking around like people. Okay, that's the point. But what you find out is that Mobius is actually Earth thousands of years later, where like the animals have evolved, and humans like they kind of live alongside the humans.
Zootopia.
A little bit, yeah. I mean, it's kind of the idea.
That's another movie you should go watch.
Yeah, there's like two different iterations of that. Ironically enough, in the original 1993 Sonic the Hedgehog animated series, originally it was supposed that Mobius was Earth, and that that Dr. Robotnik and Snively were originally like space explorers, and that it was going to be explained in the third season, like basically like a like showing the past where they went on a space exploration mission. Somehow their ship got like lost in time, and then it returned back with only Robotnik and Snively surviving to an Earth like thousands of years in the future where mankind had gone extinct, and that the animal creatures like evolved into what they are. So that was one continuity. And then in the Sonic comics, same deal, except though there was a major retcon to that, in which it was an alien race that was at war with the people of Earth, and they dropped a gene bomb. That's what it was called in the comic, that hit the Earth and it mutated everything. So basically, people, the animal life, etc. So basically, it forced the animals of Earth into like as a Mobius, like to become anthropomorphic creatures. The people who were on the planet itself, like got like their genes got a bit mixed up too. That's why they're four-fingered versus five, and they're called overlanders. However,
Right.
though but the people of Station Square, like they were seeing what was going on with the war between like the aliens and them, so like they actually went underground. That's the world of Station Square, and they're basically the last real descendants of human as a human being. So like they still have five fingers, which was really crazy. Like I would never have thought of connecting that kind of stuff like within the continuity of the comics, but there you go. And I'm like,
Right,
wow,
the
very
comics
impressive.
connecting that to the Sonic Adventure 1, which I think is,
Yeah,
is
yeah,
really
yes,
interesting.
exactly. And that was always something I really loved about the Archie comics. Like every game that ever came out, they found a way to incorporate that into the main story. And I always thought that was really cool. So like
I did too, man.
I was just gonna say I'm always really impressed just by the sheer dedication of the continuity in the Sonic fandom, or in the main continuity, I should say. That's a level of dedication you don't see in a lot of
It
franchises.
is, and I would love getting those. Every time a new game came out in the '90s, they made a 48-page special comic about it, and it would tie into the main continuity, which was a lot of it was like the Saturday AM stuff, but there was so much more. Like I think the Sonic comics were one of the best adaptations, and I would say the movies kind of rival that now. I think the movies are like the best modern adaptation of that franchise.
overall, I would definitely agree with you, but at the same time, though, I still also admire, like, like the amount of work that was put into the Archie comics, because,
Mm-hmm.
like I said in the very beginning, like, like it was very much based on the various games, and then they started to develop their own story while still incorporating Sad AM into it, which, in a weird way, like, Sad AM lived on through the Archie comics
It
and just
did.
continued the story and just advanced it even further. I mean, there are original characters in the Archie comics that have never appeared in any other format as a format. I mean, heck, there was even like a storyline that, and it still impresses me today, like Lupe. who was originally a character on SatAM, who was incorporated into the main story, her pack and the travels that they had to go through, how they rescued like two human children, raised them as part of their pack. Lupe becomes roboticized, basically becoming like a robot, as a robot that would serve Robotnik, and then through various events that then de-roboticized like everyone on the planet. Eventually had her, reunite with her family, and then she becomes like the grand chieftain of the Wolf Nation in the main Archie series. And I'm like, wow, that was incredible. Like, talk about like awesome character development like that. I love that kind of stuff.
It's all about character. I mean, that's what the franchise is at its best when they understand the characters. So that being
Absolutely.
said, that's gonna wrap it up for us. So bottom line, go see Sonic the Hedgehog 2 in the theaters. If you want to feel Knuckles punch you in the face, go see it in 4D. If not, if you prefer to eat your food there, I would stick with the 2D version. So
Alternatively, if you don't feel like getting punched in the face, don't watch it in 4D.
Or if you're feeling brave enough, go see it in 4D and get a bunch of food and a drink. The people who work at the theater will thank you later. I say that as a former movie theater employee.
You better mention that part. All right. Well, hey, thanks for watching. Hey, read Patrick's article on the.
It's really good.
On the
Thank you very much, everyone.
Fashions of Robotnik. You can also, in the link below, you'll see our interview on Dunkelvision, where we talked to Pat Casey, one of the co-writers of the movie of Sonic the Hedgehog 2. So check that out as well, and go to dorkdaily.com, patreon.com/dorkdaily to see a whole bunch more stuff. Hope to see you there, and we'll see you next time. Take care.